Take me with you. I'll show you pleasure beyond Earth, pleads the alien girl. Encounter at the edge. Ven Calloway cursed under his breath as another spark flew from the navigation panel of his scout ship. 3 days stranded, on this desolate moon at the edge of chartered space, and the repairs were going nowhere. The mission was supposed to be routine: chart the asteroid field in Sector 7, look for potential mining sites, and return to the fleet. Now he faced the prospect of missing his rendezvous window. Need a hand with that? The voice floated through the air like music, startling him so badly he smacked his head on the overhead console. Spinning around, Ven reached for his sidearm but froze at the sight before him. A woman, no, not a woman, something else entirely, stood in the open airlock. Her skin was a shifting canvas of purple hues, from the palest lavender at her throat to deep violet across her shoulders. Luminescent freckles dotted her face like scattered stars. "How are you breathing?" he blurted out, mind racing through the impossibilities. The moon's atmosphere was too thin for humans. She smiled, revealing teeth like polished opals. "My biology is different from yours." She stepped closer, movements fluid and graceful. "I'm Nylari. Your ship's energy signature drew me." Ven kept his distance. "This is a restricted expedition. How did you even find this moon?" "I was fleeing," she said, simply, her large eyes the color of twilight, studying him with unconcealed curiosity. "May I come in?" "Truly in? The patrol ships will scan this quadrant soon." Against every protocol, Ven nodded. Something about her struck him as genuine, despite the absurdity of the situation. Nylari moved around his ship with wonder, fingertips hovering over the controls without touching them. "Your technology is so physical, tactile." "As opposed to?" "My people use thought interfaces. Emotions drive our machines." She turned to him, suddenly serious. "I need passage away from this system. I can compensate you." Ven raised an eyebrow. "With what?" "I doubt your currency works in human space." "Knowledge," she replied. "About worlds you haven't discovered, about abilities you haven't imagined." She hesitated, then added softly, "And companionship if you desire it. The journey between stars is long and lonely." Her directness startled him. Human women never spoke so plainly. "That's not how we do things." "How do you do things, then?" She moved closer, her scent like night-blooming flowers. "I've studied humans from afar. You crave connection, yet build walls around yourselves." The comm unit crackled to life before he could respond. "Scout 7, this is Command. Status report?" Ven glanced between the comm and Nylari. Harboring an unknown alien species violated at least 6 regulations. Commander Ellis would have him court-martialed. "Hide," he whispered to Nylari, then answered the call. "Scout 7 reporting. Repairs ongoing. Request extension on rendezvous." As he spoke the necessary lies, Nylari watched from the shadows, her eyes glowing faintly in the dimness. Ven knew, in that moment his life had changed course irrevocably, like a ship caught in an unfamiliar gravity well, pulling him toward something both dangerous and irresistible. Forbidden passage. The ship hummed to life under Ven's hands, repairs finally complete after Nylari's surprising assistance. Her knowledge of quantum field mechanics had proven invaluable, though he remained wary of how easily she understood human technology. "We'll reach the fleet in 3 days, he explained, plotting their course through the holographic display. "I'll have to hide you in the cargo hold during inspection." Nylari reclined in the co-pilot's chair, her purple skin shimmering under the console lights. "Your superiors would not approve of me." It wasn't a question. Humans have strict protocols about first contact with new species. Ven's eyes traced the graceful line of her neck, the way her luminescent freckles pulsed gently with her breathing. "Especially ones that look like me," she finished, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "Like something we'd want too badly," he corrected himself, turning back to the controls. The first day passed in careful navigation through the asteroid field. Nylari revealed little about herself, observing Ven's routines with quiet fascination. By the second day, curiosity overcame his caution. "Why were you running?" he asked during their shared meal, his standard rations and strange crystalline fruits she had brought aboard. Nylari's expression darkened. "I am promised to someone. Thaxos, a high counselor among my people. Such arrangements are political, meant to strengthen bloodlines with compatible empathic resonances." "An arranged marriage," Ven translated. "More binding than your concept of marriage. Our union would merge not just bodies but consciousness." She shuddered visibly. "Thaxos's mind is cold, calculating. I would lose myself in him." Ven considered this. "So you ran away before the wedding?" "Before the joining ceremony." Nylari looked away. "He will not surrender me easily. My empathic abilities are unusually strong, valuable for continuing his lineage." A warning signal interrupted them, flashing red across the cabin. "Proximity alert," Ven muttered, checking the scanner. "Unknown vessel, closing fast." Fear flashed across Nylari's face. "It's them, Thaxos's hunters. How could they have found us already?" Ven diverted power to engines, preparing for evasive maneuvers. "The fruit," she whispered. "They can trace me through what I consume and produce. My body's energy signature is unique." The pursuing ship was gaining rapidly, its design unlike anything in human records, sleek and seemingly without external propulsion. "Hold on," Ven called, pushing the engines beyond safety limits. The scout ship shuddered as it accelerated, plunging toward a dense nebula where sensors would be compromised. As they dove into the swirling cosmic dust, Nylari moved behind him, placing her hands on his shoulders. Warmth spread through his body, and suddenly his reflexes seemed sharper. His perception of space around them expanded. "What are you doing?" he gasped, navigating through the nebula with uncanny precision. "Sharing my perception," she murmured near his ear. "Our minds are touching lightly. Do not be afraid." The intimacy of the connection was overwhelming, not invasive, but revelatory. He sensed her fear, her hope, and beneath it all, a growing affection for him that mirrored his own confused emotions. They emerged from the nebula hours later, the pursuing ship lost somewhere in its depths. Ven slumped back, exhausted but exhilarated. "That was," he began, "the smallest taste of what connection between us could be," Nylari finished, her fingers still lightly touching his neck. "Among my people, physical intimacy follows mental communion. Your mind is beautiful, Ven Calloway, full of stars and questions." For the first time in years, Ven felt truly seen. And as Nylari's luminescent gaze held his, the regulations and protocols that had structured his life seemed suddenly hollow, compared to the unexplored territory between them. Celestial intimacy. Dr. Imani Reed stared at the readouts in her lab aboard the expedition's mothership, then back at Nylari, who sat calmly on the examination table. "Your cellular structure is unlike anything I've encountered," the xenobiologist said, adjusting her glasses. "Your people evolved in a radiation-saturated environment?" Nylari nodded. "The twin suns of my homeworld emit wavelengths your species would find lethal." Imani glanced at Ven, who leaned against the wall trying to look casual despite having smuggled an alien aboard a military vessel. "And you trust her because—" "She saved us from her people's hunters," Ven replied. "And she's offered valuable stellar cartography." What he didn't mention was the growing connection between them, the way Nylari had begun teaching him to receive her emotional projections, creating a bond that transcended physical touch. "I'm risking my commission even conducting these tests off record," Imani sighed. "Commander Ellis is already suspicious about your delayed return." 2 more days, Ven pleaded. "That's all I need to figure out our next move." Later, alone in his quarters with Nylari, Ven paced nervously. "We can't keep you hidden forever. Eventually, someone will discover you, or your hunters will track us to the fleet." Nylari sat cross-legged on his bed, her purple skin glowing softly in the dimmed lighting. "There is another option," she hesitated. "My people have settlements beyond human space, sanctuary enclaves where those who reject arranged joinings live freely. You want me to desert, Ven realized. Leave everything behind. I want you to choose, she corrected. But know that what has grown between us is rare even among my kind. Ven sat beside her, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her skin. Show me, he whispered. Show me what it could be like. Nylari's eyes widened. A full empathic communion? Your mind isn't... I trust you, he interrupted, taking her hands in his. She leaned forward until their foreheads touched. The contact was electric, a cascade of sensation as her consciousness gently enfolded his. Colors he had no names for bloomed behind his closed eyelids. Emotions too complex for words flowed between them. Her wonder at human resilience, his fascination with her otherworldly grace. When physical desire arose between them, it was merely an extension of their mental union. Their first kiss tasted of stardust and possibility. Her skin beneath his fingertips was like silk over steel, resilient yet impossibly soft. Your kind expresses love so physically, she murmured against his neck as clothing gave way to exploration. And yours? He asked, breath catching as her luminescent freckles brightened with her arousal. We create emotional landscapes together, she explained, guiding his hands to the sensitive areas along her spine. Physical pleasure amplifies the mental connection. What followed transcended Ven's understanding of intimacy, each touch creating ripples of shared sensation, each kiss deepening their mental bond. When they finally moved together as one, the boundaries between their separate consciousnesses blurred into a shared space of stars and color and overwhelming tenderness. Afterward, lying tangled together in the darkness of his quarters, Ven realized he had never truly known another being before this moment, human or otherwise. I can't go back, he whispered, watching her freckles pulse in time with her heartbeat. Not to who I was before you. Nylari traced the line of his jaw with purple fingertips. Then we go forward together. The decision crystallized in his mind, clear and irrevocable. Tomorrow he would speak with Imani about arranging their departure. Tonight he would memorize every detail of this moment when his universe expanded beyond the stars he could see, to include the ones he could feel through her. Outside the viewport, the vast emptiness of space seemed suddenly full of possibility. Hunters of the Void Commander Ellis slammed his fist on the desk, his weathered face contorted with anger. You deliberately violated first contact protocols, Calloway. Then you involved Dr. Reed in your insubordination. Ven stood at attention, uniform crisp despite his inner turmoil. Sir, Nylari's people have technology centuries beyond ours. This could be an opportunity for what? Interspecies romance? Ellis sneered. The alien stays in quarantine until Central Command decides what to do. Imani Reed shifted uncomfortably beside Ven. Commander, my preliminary studies indicate the Seraphis possess remarkable healing abilities. Their empathic talents alone could revolutionize our medicine. Ellis's expression remained unmoved. Your scientific curiosity is noted, Doctor. But this isn't just about research potential. We received a transmission an hour ago from a vessel claiming to be Nylari's people. They're demanding her return. Ven felt his blood run cold. Thaxos. The message mentioned that name, Ellis confirmed, studying Ven with narrowed eyes. They're sending a diplomatic envoy to retrieve their fugitive citizen. They'll arrive within 12 hours. After their dismissal, Ven and Imani hurried through the mothership's corridors toward the medical bay where Nylari was being held. Thaxos won't just take her back, Ven said quietly. He'll punish her. The mental joining she described would destroy everything that makes her unique. Imani glanced around to ensure they weren't overheard. Ellis posted guards, but I can create a diversion with a quarantine protocol. My authorization would clear the medical level for 30 minutes. Why would you risk this for us? Ben asked. Imani's expression softened. Because I've seen how she looks at you, and because the readings I took showed your neural patterns are already partially synchronized. Whatever bond you've formed, it's physiologically measurable. They found Nylari sitting motionless on the examination table, her normally vibrant purple skin dulled to a flat lavender. The moment she saw Ven, color flooded back into her complexion. They're coming for me, she said simply. We're leaving. Ven replied, tonight. Imani outlined her plan, a false contamination alert, a maintenance shuttle with disabled tracking, and enough supplies to reach the nearest neutral space station. From there, they could seek passage to the sanctuary enclave Nylari had described. When the time came, they moved through the deserted medical level with practiced efficiency. Ven had already recorded his resignation, citing personal reasons. His career was over, but as he watched Nylari's determined stride beside him, regret was notably absent from his emotions. They were moments from boarding the shuttle when the ship's alarms blared. A voice over the intercom announced, "Unidentified vessel breaching perimeter. Unauthorized docking in progress at airlock 7. "They're early," Imani whispered, fingers flying across her tablet to complete the shuttle preparation. A rush of foreign emotion suddenly overwhelmed Ven, cold rage and possessive intent so powerful it made him stagger. Nylari grabbed his arm, steadying him. "Thaxos," she confirmed, fear evident in her eyes. "He's projecting deliberately. He knows I'm with you." The shuttle doors opened with a pneumatic hiss, revealing their escape route. But as they turned to say farewell to Imani, the medical bay doors slid open. A figure stood in the doorway, tall and imposing, with the same purple-hued skin as Nylari, but darker, almost midnight in its depth. His eyes were cold white orbs without pupils, and the air around him seemed to distort with power. "My betrothed," Thaxos said, his voice resonating oddly in the human facility. "How disappointing to find you reduced to fleeing with lesser beings." Nylari stepped forward, positioning herself between Thaxos and Ven. "I rejected our joining ceremony before the council. I claimed the right of self-determination, which the council denied," Thaxos replied smoothly. "Your genetic line is too valuable to waste on personal preference." His gaze shifted to Ven, and another wave of hostile emotion battered at his consciousness, especially on a species that barely registers on the empathic spectrum. Ven felt something warm trickle from his nose, blood drawn by the psychic pressure Thaxos was exerting. Beside him, Imani winced and clutched her head. "Stop it," Nylari cried, her own power flaring visibly as her skin brightened to an intense violet. "You're hurting them." The standoff might have escalated further if Commander Ellis hadn't appeared behind Thaxos, accompanied by security personnel. The situation rapidly devolved into a tense diplomatic confrontation, with Ellis attempting to maintain control while Thaxos demanded Nylari's immediate surrender. In the chaos, Ven felt Nylari's consciousness brush against his, not the gentle melding they had shared before, but urgent, purposeful. "The shuttle." Her thoughts whispered directly into his mind. "When I create the distraction." Before he could question her plan, Nylari raised her hands and released a pulse of pure, empathic energy. Everyone in the room except Ven was suddenly overwhelmed by a wave of disorientation. Even Thaxos staggered backward, momentarily blinded by the emotional equivalent of a flash grenade. "Now," she shouted, grabbing Ven's hand and pulling him toward the shuttle. They sealed the doors behind them as Ven's training took over, his hands flying across the controls to initiate emergency launch procedures. The shuttle tore free from the mothership amid a shower of sparks and warning alarms. As they accelerated away from the fleet, Nylari collapsed into the co-pilot's seat, visibly drained. "He won't give up," she murmured. "What I did will only delay him." Ven reached across to take her hand, feeling the weak pulse of her consciousness connecting with his. "Then we better make the most of our head start." New constellation 3 months of silence from Earth had stretched Mira's nerves to breaking point. The Horizon project continued on provisional status, but everyone felt the precariousness of their situation. The one bright spot remained her deepening bond with Tavik, now conducted with cautious openness rather than secrecy. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," announced the station AI, interrupting Mira's morning meditation. "All senior staff to Communications Center." She hurried through the corridors, nearly colliding with Tavik, who had received the same summons. They exchanged a look of mingled hope and apprehension before entering the comm center together. Admiral Bennett's hologram materialized before the assembled team, his expression unreadable. "After extensive review of the Convergence Initiative proposal," he began formally, "and considerable debate among Earth's leadership, a decision has been reached." Mira held her breath. Beneath the conference table, out of sight, Tavik's hand found hers. "The Horizon project will not only continue," Bennett announced, "but will be expanded as the first implementation site of the newly approved Stellar Convergence Program. Dr. Chen, your approach has been adopted as the foundation for our revised interspecies diplomatic framework. Relief flooded through Mira so intensely, she barely heard the details that followed. Increased funding, expanded facilities, new joint research initiatives. Only when Bennett mentioned her name again did she refocus. As the architect of this new approach, you are being promoted to co-director of Horizon Station, serving alongside a Lyrian counterpart. Your official directive includes establishing protocols for the integration of personal and professional connections between our species. The meeting concluded with stunned silence, followed by an eruption of excited conversation. As the staff dispersed, Dr. Ellis approached Mira and Tavik. "Congratulations," he said sincerely. "It seems I'll be reporting to you now, Dr. Chen." "I hope you'll stay on as senior advisor," Mira replied. "We couldn't have done this without your eventual support." Later that day, the Lyrian High Council confirmed Tavik's appointment as the other co-director. They celebrated privately in the Arboretum, which had flourished into a lush garden where plants from both worlds grew together in harmonious arrangements. "I never imagined this outcome," Tavik admitted, his skin glowing with patterns of joy more vibrant than Mira had ever seen. "That our connection would become not just accepted but a model." "It makes sense," Mira said. "The best diplomacy has always been built on genuine relationships. We've just expanded the definition of what those relationships can be." 1 month later, they stood together as the first transport arrived carrying new personnel selected specifically for the Convergence Program. Humans and Lyrians chosen for their openness to deep cultural exchange and collaboration. Among them was Nessa's mate, transferred from Europa Outpost to help establish the new protocols. The reunion between the Lyrian couple was touching, their skin patterns synchronizing in a display of deep connection that Mira now understood represented their bond. "Your success gives hope to others like us," Nessa's mate told Mira and Tavik during the welcome reception. Across the solar system, those who have formed cross-species bonds are finally stepping forward, offering their unique perspectives. As the celebration continued around them, Tavik led Mira to the viewport where they had first begun to recognize their connection. Centaurus Prime filled the view, its storms now partially mapped and understood thanks to their combined science. "I've been studying Earth customs," Tavik said, suddenly seeming nervous, his skin displaying unfamiliar patterns. "There is one I find particularly meaningful." He produced a small object, a ring crafted from an alloy of Earth metals and Lyrian minerals that shimmered with an inner light. "On your world, this symbolizes a formal commitment between partners," he said. "On mine, we have a similar concept called soul tethering. I wonder if you would consider—" "Yes," Mira answered before he could finish, tears of joy welling in her eyes. 1,000 times yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, its materials responded to both her warmth and the bioluminescence of his touch, creating a soft glow that symbolized their unique bond. Beyond the viewport, new ships arrived bearing representatives from 3 other species who had expressed interest in the convergence approach. The stars were aligning in ways no one had predicted, creating not just diplomatic opportunities but the possibility of deeper understanding across the galaxy. "We've created something beautiful," Mira whispered as they watched the ships dock. "Not just for ourselves," Tavik agreed, "but for all who will follow the path we've charted." Together they stood at the threshold of a new era, where the convergence of hearts across stars would illuminate the darkness between worlds and forge connections stronger than the vast distances that had once separated them. As Horizon Station continued its orbit around Centaurus Prime, it carried within it the beginning of a new constellation, one formed not of distant stars, but of souls brave enough to reach across the void and find each other.